right, but the visitor is right here.
Center.
So, no, the visitor is right here in the right hand.
Okay, good. All the other
For the
folks
lot.
from DT as well.
You guys
It makes the meeting feel more full and much less serious.
Oh, we're fillers.
We're just filling it out.
I think it's all.
I'm not eating today, so I don't need to say anything.
You don't have any good food?
I ate before I came and I'm full.
What'd you get?
I actually ate leftover fried rice.
All right, good evening, folks.
Cabbage.
Welcome to the April meeting
Pistachio cookie.
of this committee. The time right now is 7:13. We're gonna call to order. Typically we approve our minutes first, but I'll have DOT present first today, since it might be time sensitive, and we can take care of business after that.
Okay. Thank you everyone for hosting us again. I know you saw my lovely face last month. Our presenter tonight is Whitney, and she's here accompanied by her colleagues Chris, Tyler, and
Gabe.
So I'm gonna just leave it up to Whitney.
Remember the key to make it full screen?
I think
F11?
F12.
Oh, that was
F11.
F11.
Just delete everything.
I think it's press it again.
Nope.
The first thing I help with that. There's a
The first slide was great.
projection button.
The first slide was a
I
mystery.
think it was that. Okay.
Lose the signal? Really good job. I did that. I'm sorry.
Everyone's supposed to.
The display.
Did you miss Europe?
Yeah, something.
Very much.
Did you miss Europe even more?
Valid.
Having a problem. I really wish I would
You can move to Europe.
have invested.
Do you have another citizenship thing?
I wish. If I could tell my younger self what would be nice to invest in any of that for this country. Do it.
They can put us on the scene.
What about you? You have one?
I think they're just going
Moving to
What?
and like,
because typically there's like a cycle.
What are you serious? But then they can't invade Panama.
I think it doesn't mean it's lottery.
What made her choose Panama?
I don't know. She was looking at a bunch of places,
I got some
and I
friends.
think she just is gonna push it for the time.
In the interim, my
Okay.
name's Tyler, work for the transit development side of New York City DOT.
I'm sorry. Start again, please. I wasn't like, yeah.
So my name is Tyler. I work for New York City Department of Transportation in the Transit Development Unit. One of the programs that I lead is our bus stop accessibility program. So that's working citywide to make inaccessible bus stops meet ADA standards. My colleague Whitney helps me out on that effort, and so the project we're going to be talking about today is the B14 on Eastern Parkway. Fantastic, thank you. And so there's a few inaccessible bus stops there, and there's also some routing changes that have kind of been informally done over the years, and so we want to formalize those at the same time. And so we're joined with our colleagues at the MTA. We have Gabe, as well as Anthony Sutler. He's okay.
You said the transit development, what?
Unit within
Okay.
New York City DOT. Yep.
Thank you.
No worries. And then I'll hand it over to Whitney.
Thank you, Tyler. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start with a brief outline. We'll be starting with the introduction, going into existing conditions, and concluding with our project proposal. In 1866, Frederick Law Olmsted and Frederick Fox envisioned Eastern Parkway. In 1978, Eastern Parkway was named as a scenic landmark. A brief history on our buses and the transportation throughout Eastern Parkway. Bus services began in 1925 by Eastern Parkway Brownsville, and East New York Transit Relief Association. Over 3,000 individuals ride the B14 and B17 at the Utica Avenue and Eastern Parkway mainline stop on a daily basis. Buses were originally routed to use the service road to drop off passengers. A few facts you may not know: the NYC Parks Department maintains the pedestrian malls, and the NYC DOT maintains the roadway. The DOT is no stranger to the Eastern Parkway. We have been in the area for many years. We've worked on service road signalization and safety improvements for our pedestrians. I'm now going to pass it on to my colleague Gabriel.
Well, again, I'm Gabe Mizrahi. I'm a bus planner with the MTA. Talk about our B14 and also sort of B17 buses. So as was mentioned, the eastbound B14, which starts right at Eastern Parkway in Utica, on this eastbound route, has for a number of years been unofficially using the main road of Eastern Parkway as that first stop to pick up passengers, even though the bus stop with the B14 route and destination sign is still on the service road. The buses lay over and stop on the main road. Passengers have sort of become accustomed to waiting there and boarding the buses, but it's not an ideal situation to have that, situation where people are boarding the buses almost into the first lane of traffic. So the point of, at least from the operational side, the point of this project is to just sort of make official what's been going on for a little while already. And this also removed the need to do a sort of tricky maneuver that the B14 operators sometimes do, is that they'll start on the main road, and then they need to get to Rochester at the next block. They just weave back into the service road. I just was over there before this meeting and I saw it, and it was done with surgical accuracy, but we prefer them not to have to do that. So we think that this would, just moving these first couple stops on Eastern Parkway to the main road, would just improve operations, improve safety, improve accessibility, as my colleagues have mentioned. And we actually have seen, we've been able to compare the performance from before B14 used the main road and after, and we've actually seen speed improvements and schedule adherence improvements. So for us, it's a win-win. Yeah, I'll hand it back to Whit.
Thanks, Gabriel. So now, a brief chat about our current situation. If you guys are familiar, the B14 at the Rochester Avenue Utica stop on the service road is not accessible. There is a grass strip between the curb and the sidewalk, limiting that access. In addition, the main line right now is inaccessible with planters and rough paving strips. In addition to our proposal, we will also be including missing ADA ramps connecting to the northern median malls. A little bit of what Gabriel said about the existing eastbound bus routing for the B14. It seems to stop informally on the Utica Avenue and Eastern Parkway main line and either continue straight on the main line or make an S-like curve to go back on service road, which we are trying to eliminate. For our project proposal now. Our proposed eastbound bus routing would start where it's been signaled with a sign at Utica Avenue and Eastern Parkway on the main line. And that would continue on to Buffalo Avenue with also another ADA accessible stop on the main line. Now an overview of our vision from Schenectady Avenue to Ralph Avenue. We will be relocating the B14 bus stops to the southern pedestrian malls. Even though we will be doing this, we will be retaining the right-hand turn bays at Buffalo Avenue and Ralph Avenue. And as before, I did not mention that the Rochester Avenue stop will be removed for this project. And we will also be installing ADA ramps connecting northern pedestrian malls. Now to take a zoomed in look at each stop individually. This stop is on the South Mall west of Utica Avenue. It currently has granite pavers with a subway underneath. There are no planting that will be interfered. We would be removing this granite paver to either do a hexagon paver or a smooth granite paver. This would enable us an 80-foot width to have 2 buses at any time at the location. Now to our next stop down on the South Mall east of Buffalo Avenue. There are plants in this vicinity, so we will be working with the plants department to transplant a recently planted tree to find a new home. In addition, the current grass would also be removed and put in granite, smooth hexagon pavers or smooth granite pavers. And this would also evolve into an ADA accessible bus stop. And
So these are just 2 examples that exist today of the 2 different material choices. Again, because this is a landmark facility, we are interested in using specific materials that are used to be around parks. And so in Fort Greene, there is the hex pavers that cover the entire bus stop. In Central Park, there's a concept where they use the smooth granite pavers first, and then they have the hex pavers in the back for the walking area as opposed to this bus stop mixed planting area.
You're saying Eastern Parkway is landmark?
Yes. Yeah. All right, the Rochester stop.
so lastly, we will be talking about the removal of the Rochester Avenue stop. This stop will be removed, but on a positive note, we can repurpose this curb space to utilize it in many different areas.
So some different options for the repurposing. This is happening with any of the Queens Bus Network redesign, but also will happen with the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign when they remove stops, is looking at is there a need for additional metered parking, bike corrals, truck loading, or maybe some car share, which also exists in Brooklyn. So different options of how you can repurpose that space. That's the full presentation. Yeah.
I have a friend who takes the bus a lot, who has brought up that there was a bus that went along Eastern Parkway that was a cultural bus that went to all the cultural destinations, and it went back and forth to Manhattan. And she's a older woman. Her name's Connie. I wish she had come if I knew this presentation was happening, because she's interested in disability services along that particular route, and she wants this cultural bus to come back. And she's talked to me about this. I can't remember what the bus route was though, but
Was that the 71?
it was a cultural bus, but I don't remember what it was, honestly, but Connie brings this up constantly, this bus that she wants to come back. Her husband was integral in planning it. She saved the gates on Empire Boulevard into the park. That she's very involved in the neighborhood, older woman. So I take the bus with her, and it's hard. And I think she would love to hear about this, but I'm also interested in that cultural bus. If you all know anything about it, and bringing it back, because it sounded amazing.
I haven't heard about that, actually, but I'm a newer employee here, so it's possible that some of my more
You're new.
seasoned colleagues may know about it.
I wish she were here, and I can't text her. I have to call her.
Well, if you
I'll
get
ask around about that,
feel
I'm
free
sure.
to Reach out.
So, yeah, it would be good to add that into all of this plan and have a cultural bus that go visits everywhere.
I have 2 questions. When and why did the bus stop at Utica move from the service road to the main? Yeah, why did that happen in the first place? When did it happen?
As for when, it's sort of been a bit of an investigation that I'm trying to figure out. The operators don't exactly know when, but I've been looking through. Google Street View has a nifty feature where you can look back through different years, and so I've peeked for different to see if I can find a
Because if
B14
it
on
was
the
for
service
some
road,
temporary
main road.
reason.
It's mainly just been because there's not enough space for both the B17 and the B14 to all
To share?
lay over in service roads. It was just sort of a move of necessity that we're just now looking to make official.
And is this an issue that only affects the eastbound, not the westbound?
Yes, yeah. There's
Where's the westbound? On the service road or on the main road?
usually on the service road is how they really do it, but occasionally they'll
So
use
that one's just fine.
certainly in a better shape than the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
No, I mean, I know why they're going on the main line, because you have a lot of school children, school buses are there on the service road, and they stop, they block the roadway, so they just go right onto the main drag. Between that, the UPS truck, the FedEx truck, people that double park,
Bell events.
the Lyft and Ubers, when they're waiting for people to come up from the apartment buildings, so that's why they go onto the main drag.
Yeah. And they have a good amount of layover space,
Yes.
up to Utica, which is a valuable thing for us. That's not parked in by vehicles.
I have a couple of questions. So when the through train's not running, the B99 replacement shuttle bus queues up there, usually for a block or two. Is this going to be compatible with that?
It should be, yeah.
Okay. My second question is, are you guys changing any signalization, like adding bus jump priority signals along this corridor? Because you did mention the right turn. Is that a plan from DOT?
So we're not planning to do any signal changes with this. This is strictly for the accessibility side of things. But we could certainly look into the signal timing, see if there's ways to add in a few jumps or something like that.
And my third question was, I did look at the Brooklyn bus redesign draft, and the route does include Rochester Ave still. I think our board had actually sent a resolution last year with a lot of questions about the Brooklyn bus redesign and its current process. And I mean, we'd like to answer specific questions, and we like to have a talk about general questions as well. It sounds like there's a lot of interest. I don't know if you guys would be willing to make another stop.
It might be a Diana question if you can have like
It would be
An MTA question.
Yeah. So I will note that in the redesign, it's the Buffalo stop that's removed and the Rochester's retained.
Okay.
And then in our proposal, we continue to coordinate with the redesign team at MTA, and they said for stop spacing, they think now they might prefer Rochester removed over Buffalo. But yes, obviously both are being looked at by the redesign team as potentially for removal.
And do all of the crosswalks between the service road and the main road, do they all have the pedestrian walk boxes and crosswalks? I know that Troy doesn't on the north side.
yeah, try to.
Like, do they all have crossings that are marked and good?
So yeah, as part of the projects that have been happening since 2017 to 2014, they've been adding the crosswalks you were saying between the north malls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've been slowly adding in those, depending on markings and when those happen. Sometimes they don't look in the best shape. But yes, there should be now crosswalks on the north between the north malls throughout the whole corridor, but they didn't finish the ramp work that's required to go along with some of those crosswalks. But yeah, some of the markings is not in the best shape and probably should be redone soon.
Yeah. And then the last is the quality of the actual malls themselves. I know 88 has pretty strict requirements for what counts as a steep slope.
Yep.
And a gentle slope. I know that a lot of the pavers are super overgrown because of the age of the trees, which are lovely. But I ride and walk and run on the malls pretty much every day, and there's a lot of bumps, many of which would send people off their bike or off their scooter. So
Yeah.
is there a plan from Parks?
It's a great question. I know for the Central Park, the design that we saw is because they are doing a project for that exact reason. The pavers kept getting shifted around, and so they changed the base of it to have a concrete base so it wouldn't shift as much.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what the sub base of the existing situation is on the Eastern Parkway, but obviously when we put ours in, we will be adjusting the base so the bus stops won't have that lift issue.
So I'm not really familiar with this bus route. So you said it starts at Utica. At one point you were gonna end it, take the Rochester Avenue out, and then now it's heard something about you're gonna take the Buffalo maybe. So
Yes.
and then after it goes to Buffalo, what's the next step? Do it turns down Buffalo, or where does it go from there? I'm not familiar with this.
Yeah. So I'll go to the wider map. So it goes from Utica and then goes down Ralph.
So it goes down
So then the next stop would be at Ralph. And So our proposal would remove the stop at Rochester. So that's the existing. And then proposed we would remove that stop and retain the one at Buffalo.
And just to be clear, sorry, Chris Rones from DOT. Just to be clear, what we're doing here is the Brooklyn redesign process that MTA is convening, and they can speak to the timing of when they're coming back and things like that. They're sort of in the planning process. They've gone out to the public with an initial proposal. Their proposal was to eliminate the stop at Buffalo and maintain the stop at Rochester. After further discussions with MTA and talking about our project, they said, actually, let's propose the opposite for like better stop spacing. Let's propose keeping the stop at Buffalo as opposed to Rochester. Because we're going in there, we're doing work, we're upgrading it, we're sort of calling the question ahead of time, right? Ordinarily, that sort of question, MTA would be coming back whenever they're next coming back. I think it's towards the end of the year, having that discussion. We're sort of preemptively having that discussion with you today, because in order to do this work, we have to sort of decide which bus stop are we gonna focus on and apply the work there. So certainly, any feedback you have at this point, we and MTA would be happy to hear that feedback.
So my second question though is how many stops or passengers are being picked up at the either location, so that would determine what stop is more valuable, or the frequency of the number of people, because you did give a figure of 3,000 uses at Utica Avenue.
Yeah.
But what's happening at Rochester? What's happening at Buffalo? So as you're making the determination,
They're both
you have
much
you
lower
have that
than
information
Utica.
now.
And does either one have a connecting bus?
North-south bus.
Yeah, or train.
Like, is there a bus
Buffalo
on
and
Buffalo
Rochester.
or a bus on Rochester?
No, neither have north-south connections. The nearest north-south would be either Utica or Ralph. Those are the two connecting locations.
And if there's any senior centers or place nearby where people might be more apt to need the bus.
Right. I mean, they're both kind of on either side of the, I'm forgetting the name of the park, but it's essentially one block that separates the two.
Lincoln Towers.
Yes, the two stops there.
What's the distance between the proposed stops in your final rendition?
The blocks are about 750 feet long.
So it's 1,500. So, like a kilometer.
Something like that, yeah.
That's a long distance for a bus stop, though.
But to answer the original question.
The original question is the frequency. How many people are actually using?
So it's approximately 2 people per trip at Rochester.
2 people per trip
On
times
average,
24 hours a day,
Exactly.
I'm not sure. So what's that number?
I think it came out to something like,
Yeah, it's like 150, 180 people a day. And obviously most of those people are going to be, during the morning or afternoon rush when people are commuting.
Okay. Per stop.
Yeah. And compared to Utica, which has, 1,000, yeah. It's significantly less.
Well,
The bus that I found, that there's actually a petition online for this bus, and it was Crosstown B71 bus.
yeah.
That's what she wants to provide.
Everyone wants that back. Except
Yeah,
CMT.
put that in, yeah, everyone wants
Again,
You're new?
there are rumblings of this mythical B71 that wants to come back.
it. You wanna read?
I can help. Yeah.
He's a little busy right
Sure.
Did you say this also affects the B17?
Just in the sense that it splits up the first stop.
So the B17 is still gonna
On the surface.
on the service road.
Yep.
There are changes under the redesign effort, but that's a separate process.
Do people transfer between B17 and B14 at this location?
So
This is the first stop.
it's the first stop of both of you.
Okay.
So they both
We
start
were
and
Makes
end
sense.
here.
I gotcha.
And then 17 immediately turns right.
And then do you have a prediction of how much time saved the removal of that stop would give over the route profile?
Oh, that's a good question. I think on
But, I mean, we already do it, so.
You already skipped that stop at Rochester?
Some of the buses do.
Oh, you're talking about skipping the stop.
Yes.
No, we don't have exact figures on that. I mean, it usually skips the stop, because as we said, I mean.
It doesn't have
on
any
average,
regular, somebody's
there's
going to
nobody
board,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But on average, a stop takes like about a minute or 45 seconds, so about every route, you know.
Okay.
Every time a bus passes by, it's another minute saved.
But don't the buses do that anyway? If there's nobody there, they skip the stop?
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
So
what we're
right now
saying.
they
It's
are
hard to measure.
Yeah, they are skipping those stops.
Alright, so
Sometimes.
we have about 2 more minutes for any remaining questions,
Yeah.
but just putting that out there.
Did anyone have any, since this is the landmarks and we're going to go to Landmarks Commission and the Public Design Commission for the materials, did anyone have any comments on the materials that we're using?
I'm very interested to see how you deal with the trees and the pavers.
Yeah, the
We do
trees
have to
are very
relocate a
bumpy
tree.
there, you know, along all of Eastern Parkway, if you're biking or walking, it's very bumpy with the tree roots, so.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have that smoothed out. I do bike along Eastern Parkway quite a lot, which is probably perfect time. So,
Yeah.
Tyler, would you go back to the slide showing them the difference of the pavers in case anyone does have a
I do
strong
like those,
design?
I do like those, the way, the shape, the history. So,
Yeah.
it is very nice. So I would be disappointed to have all those removed.
It's just one tree that was planted last year, so it's a very young tree. It's not an old growth tree. Yeah.
And it will find it. It'll find it.
Yes, we are going
So
to
you're
find a new home
taking
for
the
it.
tree, you're taking the tree out and putting, what, I don't understand exactly.
Just moving it.
Yep. So let me go to this slide.
You're planning on removing the,
So this tree, it's pretty young. It was planted last year, probably around March of last year. Got planted right here. It's not even showing this aerial. That's how new it is. It'll be removed, and in place of it, instead of the grass that you see here in the tree.
oh, this is just for an accessibility place,
Correct, yeah,
not the
it would
whole
look
thing.
something
Oh,
like
that's
this.
fine. You know.
And it would just be at the bus stop, nothing else.
Yeah, if it makes
You know, we're not
it easier
changing
for
the
people
rest.
to get up and on it, fine.
Yeah, the rest of these trees and the grass would be remaining.
Yeah.
And then for alternatives to what can replace the side, when we want to go back to that slide, does anyone have any strong opinions on what they would like to see on the repurposing of this?
This is the service road.
This is the service road, yes.
Getting rid of the bus stops on the service road, that frees up curb space,
Yes.
right? So like, if we just kind of like go with the status quo, it would just revert back to, revert back, right? It would just be like parking, like.
There's no
alternate
parking,
side.
there's no parking along that side of the roadway.
Those car
Yeah, but
share,
sometimes we put
those
no
car
standing on the
shares are
opposite
a
side.
big problem. I'd
So
rather not do
one
that.
has a
Yes,
bike
you do.
share
Yes.
or a bike parking, and then the other one has no standing because they want people to get around the bus if it's stopped for too long. So there will be some opportunities.
I'd rather not have the car share. Those tend to be
Just let it be
a
street
problem
parking.
in the neighborhood.
Street parking? Okay, so thank you, Juliana. We appreciate that feedback.
For businesses.
Great.
I concur.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Well, wait,
I agree.
that spot is next to the park?
Yeah.
Is it?
On the
Because
east
there's
side
no
of the-
businesses there then?
Yeah,
Like,
the east side of the park.
Yeah, I just wonder who would feed the meter there if there's no businesses up there?
Oh, could some people be frequenting the park?
Yeah,
Maybe
they
coming-
go a lot for
So
kids'
sometimes they
sports
have
and
different
stuff.
activities and stuff that's going up there. I don't know
There's a
about
lot.
metered parking, but
Yeah.
you know.
I almost wonder if like loading
Regular.
is better, like if you're
But
having
there's
a
no
barbecue or
businesses.
something.
Yeah, just a
You know, to
regular.
bring, offload your stuff and then go around the corner because there's parking all on the sides.
There's never enough parking. To get
It's
some
definitely
back.
not
or
parking.
To get some back,
Great.
alright, yeah.
It's never enough
Plus
parking.
people dropping people off, you know, people are just
The bus is for it.
over.
Loading, unloading.
That's what hydrants are for.
As long as they leave.
And
Or don't start any
the
fires.
metered parking would be good so people don't just
Thank
stay
you.
there for
Could
parking
we
access.
like contact us with people for car share with it?
Yeah.
Because like car share has helped this area a lot.
Good plan,
We're
putting the bus on
noticing
the parking.
a lapse in the management.
Yeah.
Good.
Maintenance of some of these spaces.
Has there been any feedback from the bus
So,
operators that
I'm
use
not
this?
sharing car share until I can hear.
Well, the bus operators initiated it, so they're very much in favor.
Oh, really?
I know 3 of them that said they
Well,
can't
it's not
stand
gonna be
it.
because of the
That's why they
speakers.
go on, they on the main drag.
Yep.
I know
Versus
3
those
of
who
them.
don't.
Yeah, they kind of helped initiate this project.
Oh, yeah.
Since they're actually using it,
Yes.
sometimes we make decisions for things that we don't even really use.
Sure.
and we don't take into consideration the people who frequent
Yeah.
the area.
Yeah, this
There's
is-
a theory for that, there's like the pathway, the tourism pathway. but
Yes,
it's-
Yeah, I did that, so I can fix it.
And more accessibility for people to be able to get to the buses, because we still don't have enough accessibility in the train yet, so.
Yeah, which will help with those shuttle buses, they'll be accessible now.
Yes. So how much curb space is being returned in total?
So it'll be one bus stop on the east side of the park, probably about 80 or so feet.
Okay. That's 4 cars.
East side of-
Two spots.
No, because one,
Two spots.
so right now we have 2 bus stops, yes, but we don't have parking on the south side. And so the north side at the bus stop that's on the west end of the park has a bike share already.
Mhm.
So on the east side, you would be able to remove the NSA that's on that corner that allows traffic to go around a stop bus if it needs to. That would be able to be repurposed, so yeah, about 8 cars if you really well parked.
Yeah.
Or sorry, it was 4 cars if they're really well parked.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. CP9 knows my email, so please contact me.
All right, well, good. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you for the presentation.
Coming next month? Coming next month?
Every month.
Every month.
2 in a row ain't bad.
There's always something.
That's
Let's try that.
If you treat them nice, they'll come back.
Every night.
But this is it.
I love everybody. Everybody I love. Even you, EJ. I love you too.
Especially me.
Man, I have a room, a bunk ready for you right in my house.
There we go. Ready for that one. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, have a nice night.
Thank you so much.
I'll hold it.
Just letting me
Thank
know.
you so much.
It would be good
Bye,
for,
thank you for your
maybe good contact.
Thank you.
I'll tell you both what's happening,
Okay.
because it's just.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as.
Thank you.
Way to
Yeah,
move
yeah.
to make
Thank you so much.
That's gonna be a challenge. Yeah.
That P71, I remember that it didn't go into Manhattan, it went to Red Hook and like Carroll Gardens area. And we elected official, everyone wanted it, but
I've heard passive.
yeah, I think a lot of people had hoped in the redesign that would come. So,
I'd like to
Got it. So,
Thank you very
yeah,
much.
email me about it, she has my card, and then I'll see what that, the kind of action is after. Alright, thank you everyone, have a good evening.
Nice to meet you. Alright, that's good. So, on to normal business, let's approve the last month's minutes. Yeah, we'll go, right? So, 1 second. We can, I don't think we have to, but we can, we should, sort of normalize what happens after these presentations.
yeah.
It'd be good to have. I don't want folks coming here thinking they could just present and then leave with nothing and not really anything. So it's good to like, sort of validate the presentation.
Yeah, I mean, it's so far a few sessions. But it doesn't like anyone had a consent, really.
Right.
There's one that we saw.
Okay,
That was Vampire Day.
She's not gonna,
Like in the last 2 months.
I would like to just augment maybe get into it.
Well, the Dollar Bands uses it, which I don't object to that.
Yeah, they're moving
And it's maybe send the link to the committee what's up. Right? And people can just like suggest stuff. So even if you can't finish it out, somebody else can help you finish it. And you just like get to review the other one. You know what I mean? So it's not just you being there and then run the ball down. Unless you.
No, every time I send it to the board, I'm always like, I always say this is a draft in case you have corrections or
It's
something.
also so that the rest of the committee can see it too. Or at least sometimes they send it to the office and they don't send it to me or to the.
Oh, got it.
You
Yeah,
send it to me usually, but
yeah.
it'll speed up the approval. People can see it before it goes out. folks wouldn't be here reading it for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's emailed out. It was emailed out a couple weeks ago. So like people should have read it.
Oh yeah, of course they should.
In the structure.
Wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. We'll see what happens.
Are we making a motion or a resolution?
It's just about.
We can, we don't have to, but I think we should. It's like a supportive.
I think so too.
I have to go back to two.
Yeah, just have something down on paper.
So they
Yeah.
Also, Andrew, can you shut down, can you like minimize all that? Because that doesn't need to be up right now.
Oh, yeah. What do you want?
Just like, I guess,
okay.
pretty sweet. Yeah, that's
Beautiful background.
I know.
Vacation. This is April weather.
Representing CB9, I know.
Yeah.
It's like, definitely not many of those here. Okay.
Okay, so next,
Moving the
Make a
minutes.
motion. Put a motion on the floor.
Well, hold on, let's approve our minutes first. That's usually the first order of business after we call to order. So the minutes are here in this little pile. Hopefully everyone can take a look. That's more than one. Yeah. If you have any corrections, please say so. We'll give us like 2 minutes to review it real quick. Also review. By who? We did it.
right, but, there's still there.
What's on Snyder Mark?
Well, yes, that's it.
Okay, so
The toilets
toilet.
and ocean.
So not
We gotta
resolved, but
fix
we
that.
did.
Echo. You left my Snyder Marks in the minutes.
What
My
did you say?
existential remarks. Why did you talk about
I kind of like when I read this.
Did it write snide?
No, yeah,
Oh.
like.
I bet I was supporting it.
You know, just get passed with the full board.
Right, if you're reading the minutes, you're seeing the 1.2 billion over lifetime that I quoted for the executive meeting. It's in here still. I mean, they just didn't verify whether they didn't clarify whether it was like per toilet or
It's the
for the whole
program.
program, but it's the whole program.
Yeah.
So I could probably let's actually clarify that in the minutes. So I'm willing to approve with that change included, if you could do that.
But that was the full program.
Yeah, it wasn't like per toilet because that would be pretty.
Right.
Pretty
It was all of their, right.
Yeah.
If that was the case, I, for everything I have, and I buy one toilet.
I mean, same here.
You've been 20 years in toilet.
Oh yeah, that's true. You gotta maintain it for a while.
Are we talking about the toilet?
Yeah, we're talking about the toilet because
In
it's
the
last
minutes, there was
month.
just no correction in the minutes, just to clarify.
Yeah.
The amount for
Did
the.
all
Yeah,
these
it's
go
clarified.
through
It's not per toilet,
Yes.
it's all in the entire system.
Yeah, it did.
And they all passed.
Yeah, the full board had a split a little bit. It wasn't pretty good. It was like 24, like 9 against.
So Alicia's motion passed. Did that go before?
No, that wasn't that exec took care of that. We turned it into an alternate with the bound to send that out. So we bypassed full board and we just had that go out.
Same with the ocean
Wait,
buses.
bypass the board and then what go out?
Executive can, so if there's a resolution for like a letter from a committee, executive committee of the board can authorize the board office to send the letter directly instead of having for the full board gather and full.
Okay.
It isn't a resolution,
Alright.
it's just a letter, so we
Alright,
can,
yeah.
we could do that.
Do you also do a letter for the Ocean Air bus lineup?
Yeah, we did, I think that also went out.
Okay.
Yeah, that did go out too.
She just emailed me.
She emailed me to the petition?
Yeah, she told me
Yeah.
she got like 40 signatures already.
Good, okay.
Pretty much everyone in the building, I think.
Okay.
wants it.
Petition for what? The bus idling, right?
Yeah.
The bus what? Idling? Okay. Thank you.
It's on Flatbush?
Ocean.
Ocean.
Near
Ocean,
Lincoln
and,
Road.
Lincoln Road.
Oh.
The buses that queue up.
The shuttles.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking
And
about
they
the
run
shuttle for this presentation. 'Cause I have taken that shuttle bus. When it's, when Ulas is not running. When the three's not running, they have a shuttle bus and it stops on Eastern Parkway. Yeah, that's how I go to the pool.
Okay, so
That's why I want to go to the Jones.
Really? Okay. I haven't seen you there.
Because I'm not a member.
So,
I go to the pool
And more
on
counts.
Saratoga.
oh, okay, all right. So that's the thing, but the pool is only in the morning and in the evening. money aside. Lap swimming on.
I think everything else looks good from me. Anybody's any corrections? Okay, so I won't call the question. Are we willing to approve the minutes with one change to the source of the $1.2 billion revenue not being per for the whole program? I believe it was beyond the toilets too. I think it was.
It was a maintenance contract as well.
Okay. But yeah.
I'm sorry, what are we talking about, the percentage here?
Talking about this. It because the way it's worded, it's an it generates, making it sound like we're referring to the
Just say like
singular
the
toilet.
system, the entire system run by this company.
Right. It was the J.C. Dicko contract. It wasn't necessarily a single toilet that did that, so we need to clarify that. Because we have, folks here verify it. So it's good to have that at least look factual. Alright. Do we have any opposition to that one change? And approving the minutes with that change? Okay. Now, in consent, looks approved. Nice. Alright, move on to our next time-sensitive item, which is the dining out application. Nazit Stubel has reached out and applied for an outdoor, I think you would go, an outdoor dining setup. I believe this is going to be a sidewalk cafe, not a roadway. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Okay.
Is that on Rogers?
No, and I think Fenimore. Yeah.
Oh, I know that place, they've always had that.
Yeah.
Exactly. A lot of these are just renewals of what they had before the program officially launched this year.
So the program sort of made it illegal and they had to maintain compliance by submitting more paperwork to us.
It created a new process that now runs through us.
And they didn't fill out the now, whatever. I'm not gonna-
It's a
I'm not
pretty
gonna
easy,
complain.
it's a pretty easy.
Yeah. But it isn't the first time. They've done this for a while. They figured out what
Always,
they
I think.
want. So now it's just going through us, but it makes sense.
I'm already for it, so.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing, I've seen previous setups that had 8 foot, 8 foot clearance, and these seem to have 8 foot clearance as well from the curb.
Well,
It's
8
kind
foot
of
from
like
the
a-
traffic
it's
light.
kind of like
That's
a
the,
up-
The traffic light.
Up
that's the
thing,
restricted
like up
thing.
from the, like
Okay.
a pavilion sort of, like, it's raised up, like the businesses are.
Yeah.
Part of it
Yeah.
is, but then there's also the benches. Like this part, on the other side of these bricks is raised, but the benches are adjacent to it.
And also,
That's not raised.
Andrew, the traffic light, I'm assuming, is referring to the pole?
Yeah,
not
no, the
actual-
physical obstruction.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how they measure it.
Just word choice. But yeah. Okay. Yes.
I mean, it's a very wide sidewalk, so even with these benches outside of that little raised area, it's still plenty of space.
Okay.
Because it is a very good
So yeah.
It's like perfect setup for outdoor space.
No, this is we approved like 2 others last month. But this is a new one. Yeah.
The only flaw I've seen there is a car went
Not
up
neighborhood street.
and crashed into it last year, 2 years ago.
Maybe they should get a bollard.
I can't put that there, because this is a folded sidewalk. So if you do that, you go into the guy's basement. That's why you can't do that.
Can they put
That's
it
why,
on?
that's why I proposed this.
Because you won't have a foundation to hold it up.
What about a tree, probably a tree that saves somebody an
Do we
earning
have-
or something?
You have to make sure that the tree
I didn't hear
is
you.
of specific
Oh, no, I'm
weight, so
telling
it
them
doesn't.
about this,
I mean, there are definitely trees
go down
right along
there.
there.
That,
what our.
There are trees right
If
there.
they
was the
hypothetically
shower,
filled
right?
out the form,
The
it might be
shower.
incorrect. Somebody in the school board can say they didn't do this right, we can't give them the. Yeah, well, they
What, our
missed one
neighbor?
box.
Which one?
They should, I'm not gonna say it.
No, we were just talking about the whole bureaucratic nightmare of this
Not like,
compared to before. That's what we're talking about.
I mean, people on the board are just supposed to
You just have to be careful not to, you know, especially with folded sidewalks.
And does that happen?
Start to crack, those
I mean,
pots are heavy.
it's gotta start somewhere.
Glass.
Someone has to like not
Make sure.
encourage
Don't
it.
put it
So,
close.
if you're saying is this,
yeah.
so
It's
would
on
that,
Western Avenue.
so would that
This
impact
is probably,
them being in the street? No.
this is the problem.
Well, it's 10 feet clearance versus 8 feet, so it's 2
Yeah,
different feet.
they've given us 8 foot.
So that means that whole sign will be
But they're saying 10 foot.
from this building.
Which they probably do have 10 foot in most of it, so I'm not gonna make it a
And that's all hollow.
but they've done the paperwork. It doesn't
Straight
actually
down,
change the
and do the basement.
That's what I'm saying, this is just, somebody who was a lawyer would look at this and say, all these issues.
You really can't put money. You really don't want it.
Okay.
Can I turn a motion to vote on this?
So any public comments?
Oh, yeah, any public comments, guys, about this?
I
Have y'all
like
been to
sitting
Housing
outside
Story?
in that area.
I know where it
so-
is.
I love it.
Oh, y'all should check it out, great.
Good.
Great
I've been there too.
beers.
Yeah, it is really nice there, that
You have
whole.
any extra food or beer?
Oh, yeah, they got food too. Yeah.
German kitchen.
It's a German kitchen, so it's very good.
I've been to there.
Yeah, it's not
Oh,
always
yeah.
messy.
Sauerkraut.
You're not gonna find the right ingredients, but they got some German food. Yeah, we got sausage and pretzel.
Yeah, sausage and pretzel.
It's satisfying.
This is great.
There's a sauce with pretzels coming.
Sidewalk.
No, I mean, they got more than that too.
I think it's
You got at least one of them. You got-
Maybe after our next spring walk, we can,
You want to do stuff.
you know, stop there.
Oh, if you have
after.
Fenimore is one of the things, maybe it's gonna be on the COG plan.
Great.
I think, did you want?
Oh,
You
yeah.
started.
Can we make a motion to, vote on
You
this?
can just make it.
Okay, I would like to make a motion,
Okay.
of, I guess, a letter of support, if there's no objection.
It's not a support, like essentially, this is the form. This is, the first page is our response.
Oh, to approve it.
Yeah, it gives us, there's a place where we can include our feedback on the physical footprint, pedestrian flow, curb use, any comments or concerns, and select whether we approve, deny, or approve changes, etc.
Gotcha. I'd like to make a motion for approval, if there's no objection from anyone.
I'm gonna use that for comments in the few areas first. Do we have any on the physical footprint and like the dimensions of the space? Any pedestrian flow concerns or comments? Okay. Anything?
I would like to make just one comment on this one, they've been doing it, but in the future, it would be good to get some kind of input from the neighborhood for these kind of applications in the future, like they do for the SLAs, like make sure the neighbors don't have a issue with it, because I know that's been a problem in other neighborhoods, like not for this particular application, but for going forward, it would be good to hear from neighbors, but you said it's from year to year, I remember, anyway, so you don't really, you can deny it the next year if it's problematic.
Yeah, it's an every year process.
If you live there, it could be, people are smoking or making loud noise,
Yeah.
the neighbors are upset.
Right.
We just wanna be respectful.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, like I did say before, this is an easier thing to respond to than a liquor license because this happens every year. So these will all come back to us next year. So if they have issues and we hear about them, we can sort of ask the owner to come in and like answer those issues, right? And sort of rejudge if it's a good idea or not. If it's a new place, you might not be able to get comments from neighbors since it didn't exist before. And in this case, I mean, whatever it is mostly been positive.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that like going forward, we're gonna look at comments from neighbors and make sure they're not having a bad effect on the area. I agree.
So you've, said this, they've been having this for a while, they've been doing it already.
It's been at least like 5-6 years.
Okay.
I think longer.
Yeah.
Since they've been open.
Pre-COVID, it was there.
Yeah, actually, I used to take my now 6, almost 7-year-old there when she was a baby. They have a bunch of kids books too, so we would sit there.
And beer and pretzels, huh?
It's a cute.
In the bottle? In the bottle pocket? Alright.
Okay.
Any questions, any comments about existing curb use? Like is anything is anything conflicting with the area? In your opinion? Or view? I didn't find any, but
Gotta get out of the wall.
alright.
Yeah.
Good, right?
I like to have dinner in my house and go there.
You don't have pretzels, you don't have bacon.
I think she has something. It would be great to have bike racks and like places in the street that I would act as like a ballpark.
Yeah, it would.
It would.
The applesauce of
Is there any way
They could request the bike.
Separate
rack.
issue, but
we encourage businesses to ask for that?
So-
Especially about your city to have like a
alright, let's
bike puller.
call the question on that one. Do we have anyone opposed to approving this? Alright. No? Mm-mm. Okay. Alright. So yeah, we will approve, this is approved, we will get this back to the office.
They will give us free beers.
Oh, yeah, the pretzels.
Love it,
So,
right?
Alright, so yeah, that's been approved. Rocco, you can note that.
We can throw this out and say yes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
So we can write it in there if you want to
alright,
do
we
it.
moving right along here.
Yeah.
Writing
this is gonna be
schools.
quick. I assume we don't have anyone from the schools here from B36K.
So I guess it moves to the next,
Yeah, next month. I mean, we're gonna re-invite them for next month too.
maybe they're up for spring break or something.
Maybe.
Is it a spring break?
Not yet.
Oh, wait, no,
Not
they're
right,
not.
not yet.
Well, I think high school's already had theirs, but
There
Yeah.
is.
I'm not sure if it,
Yes, high school.
if
Some of them have
it,
it at different times.
yeah, it's kind of offset. Okay. We do need to plan for the fair because we only got like 1 more month to do it.
Move them.
We could do that last and we don't have to. We didn't do it spread last time and it was effective, so you can if you want we could redo that or add something else in there.
Okay.
I know you were like you were carrying the last one a little bit. So.
No, I just printed the maps.
Which is
Didn't somebody recommend something about bike helmets that they would
Oh.
give free?
We should do outreach if
I
we want
mean
to
Therese
get
has
like
been asking for the
giveaways.
helmets for a minute. For a while.
But,
I
DOT
love what
was
you
in the
guys did
room.
last year.
Thank you.
DOT
It
was
was
in the
really
room. We
cool.
did
I
Was
love
it, was it that group though?
Yeah,
Because this
it
was the
wasn't us.
transit
No,
development
no,
unit.
Well, they
So
could
maybe we
give us
can
little-
reach out to
little
the
Bill
buses.
Diana, yeah.
Well, Diana's our point of contact, so yeah.
Yeah.
She got it done.
Even if they just have a couple, you know
For
what
like
I'm saying?
giveaways.
Something.
To encourage participation.
Surely they
Yeah.
got something.
And then the bike helmets, but they like to have somebody there to do fitting.
Yeah, when they do it, it's a big deal. They have like thousands of helmets and like
Really.
Yeah,
three
it's
people.
really cool.
Yeah.
And this is through DLT?
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
Crystal
I
can
have
put
this
aside
occasion.
money for it, or maybe Rita or Diana, depending on where the fair is.
So,
But-
do they have a relationship? Is Keith Bray still there?
I believe so.
So, give him a call.
Yeah.
He's the top one on the totem pole, because
Yeah.
over at the Major Owens, when somebody took the bicycle rack or whatever, I reached out to him and he sent somebody over, and it was like, I told him we had two. He's like, no, you only had one. I was like, here's the picture, we had two, and they came out within a week and put it up. So,
They need more there.
yeah, I know. It's like so many people are coming and stuff, even around the corner. So,
Like 2 bike racks for hundreds of people.
so maybe we can reach
Very
out
like
to
that.
see if he can have the connection of somebody
Yeah.
to, even if it's on a smaller scale than the thousands that they normally give out, because we're having a community fair and we want to show that DOT is, supportive of our efforts in CB9 to ensure that people are safe when they're riding their bikes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what like stickers. Yeah.
Yeah, something. They might have coloring books. They might have something to promote safety, some type of
Stress
swag
balls.
that they can give out.
Let's do it.
Like all sorts of stuff.
So
It's just, but we need to reach out like now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
sooner
they
the
take
better.
a very long time.
Make a budget, and give away.
No budget. I'm talking
We didn't,
using
we
their
didn't
budget.
even have a budget last year. I don't think we spent much at all. If anything.
Well, I think now's the time to ask for a small
Yeah.
flag or something.
Are we talking about this now or later?
Later, ideally,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
because there are other things we need to do.
Yeah,
But
Okay.
we can talk about it forever, so just put it towards the end.
thank you, Andrew.
It's June will be here before you know it.
Yeah, it's almost already here. All right.
They doing back their old stuff.
All right.
We're not talking about the fear
Not yet. We just want to review a couple things.
now. Okay.
You have a letter from, I believe, from Feast about a proposal from Street.
We need an open street so bad.
Who generated this letter?
Huh?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Well, this letter was sent to.
I thought it was you at first. I was like, oh, because don't you live on Montgomery? right?
No,
I know this-
well, not there, right.
Oh, no, McGee.
Washington and
Oh,
Montgomery,
okay.
that's correct.
Yeah, this letter was
This is
sent.
one block over from
Yeah, this letter was sent to. Well, Don is only one this letter.
Yeah, there's no
District
signature.
manager. No, there isn't.
So we don't
kinda
know.
It's not
like-
really a letter then.
It's kind of like
So
just a
that-
layout
it's an
for
anonymous
someone to
letter.
fill it out.
Yeah.
Is the goal that we are filling this out and submitting it to the Department of Transportation?
It doesn't look like that because
It says insert 1 to 2 sentences on why you think an open street would benefit the community. I mean, I'm happy to, but like,
it looks like it's for us to sort of, it's like a boilerplate for us to just stand and say no.
But who
is
sent
there
it?
political backing for an open street? I know that the council will usually push DOT to have them in their area.
I believe this is
From the Neighborhood Block Association.
I believe this is from East, which is an organization by I think Anthony Gay.
So is this part of the Open Streets program? that-
It's someone applying to.
So who's applying?
That's the question.
That's the
Who
first,
asked
what,
for
what is
this?
the organization that is
Right.
applying for that?
It looks like it's called Feast.
Who are they?
Street lab.
Well, see, I had
So,
street
just like
lab
if you're
people.
going for a block party, okay, you have to formally present your request.
Formally how? What do you mean? In person?
Yeah, you have to present
You
a
have to
request
gain
for a block party, for
signatures.
SAPO,
You have to
SAPO
gain
permit.
signatures
You have to
from
get
the
the SAPO
neighborhood, you
permit.
have to submit it so
Yeah.
many days in advance, you have to say, just for a
Months
block
in
party, you have to
advance.
say exactly what you want, it's, the procedure is very detailed, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went to a hearing for all the street presentations and events in the city last week, and there were maybe 20 organizations presented, and they went into details about how you plan an event in the city, and all the things you have to go through to do it, and considering this is really close to my house, Maria's house, nobody knew about this until we saw it in the minutes for this group. So nobody's asked the
The president
neighborhood,
of the block association didn't know.
the Montgomery
The
Block
people who live
Association,
there don't
Fred,
know
Fred
about
lives
it.
there, he didn't
So
know.
who's asking
I
for
asked him
this?
last night, so this is a little bit, what?
And who's asking for
And
something
how long
that's
is it
impacting us
for?
without us knowing about
When
it?
is it? Is it one day? Is it for a year? Is it for months? There's no, I thought whoever was presenting this would come and,
Talk about it.
This is
Yeah, we
very,
should ask those questions.
what?
So the Open Street program, right, is very specific,
Yep.
right, or as far as the application. And you also have to put down what type of street closure you're looking for, right? Limited, full-time, with any hours, right? It's all listed within the program.
And Montgomery has
And that's not here.
two little side
So the
streets that
application
will be
should be-
affected, Ludlam and
No,
Stoddard.
avoid, because it shouldn't be this, it should not come.
This is like really weird to have it just
It should
appear.
not come to us like that.
How
It
is
should come
it-
from
how is the
someone,
selection
someone
made?
should have, where this filling
We're all
in
in agreement.
signature and all this.
Yes.
Where is it coming from?
Right. Can we just
Who put it in the
say,
minutes? Like, why can't I get my thing in the
Well,
minutes? This is weird.
I,
Or in the agenda, I mean, you know, this is like, I tried to put my thing in the agenda forever, and now
this
this
is
is
not on the
there,
agenda.
taking over our block for how
so,
long?
can,
So Feast is doing something for the next 4 weekends.
I know about that,
Is
but
this-
this is like,
Do they think this
this is like my neighborhood.
But this is not even saying that it's Feast that is actually submitting it.
This is further down, this is
right,
like
well,
another
just to
neighborhood.
speed things up, can I make a motion? Can I make a motion that we just outright reject this, because we have no
Yes.
idea what it is?
Yeah, they need to resubmit.
If someone wants to
and
do
come
something,
in.
come to us and talk to us, but.
Yeah.
But how
like,
did
this
it
is-
end up
And
in
we,
the, on
the
the agenda?
community has to know.
I put it on the agenda because the board office said asked.
So
So they
Ethan
know.
put it on the agenda because Dante gave it to you.
Yeah,
Let's be specific.
yeah. I chose to do that.
But we need to know who it came from.
I agree.
Right.
Or can we just
They can
reject
come
it?
in.
I agree. I'm not.
present it to
I
us.
personally, I don't think that everyone needs to come in person to everything because you're gonna be running around the city going to 30 different people who have to weigh on your application.
They should, but they should poll the community.
But I do think that if you're gonna not come in person, you can't send us basically a blank page
Right.
with
This
nothing
is
on
done
it.
on GPT, I'm sure of it.
GPT would do a better job, to be honest. GPT would do better than
I,
us.
I
It
think
wouldn't
this is
leave a
probably-
blank.
Format like GPT does,
I think this is
I'm
probably
sure
a
of it.
draft. better,
Today,
which does not
GPT might
make
send us
sense.
photos of the proposal and make up how it could look and all kinds of might put a bounty house in there and all kinds of stuff.
Because I've
This
had
is-
street labs come to my last block party and they have a truck, they come
They're
up,
good.
they have, they
They
have
do
some
great
really
stuff.
great
Remember,
stuff.
this is not a block party,
Right.
okay? This here.
I got that, but,
Is
you
this
know,
for
because
one-
we picked
one
out
day?
They don't
fees.
define it.
A month, a month,
Well, no,
a
that's not,
year?
that's
Also-
not the way to do it.
Well, he just said it. Just reject it.
Yeah,
Yes,
I make a motion to
Thank you,
reject this, but ask for more information for
Yeah.
future consideration.
Okay.
To reject it and also to state that you cannot send us this way. It has to come to our committee, we have to discuss it, and then it has to go out for the neighborhood to know about it.
Yeah, the neighborhood should be
Not-
asked
Like,
first.
this is
that too.
This is
even know where this came from.
No, we should state,
Yeah.
we should stipulate that, so
I think
moving
you should
forward.
just
we
Listen,
can
you reject it, then they'll come back and say, hey, it was me. Alright, so that's all.
Just reject
So,
it.
so
Yeah.
anybody
Full
can
stop.
send anything to Dante to put in any agenda?
Huh?
You gonna test that
Right.
theory?
Well, I mean,
I
no. I could also say no, but I chose to say yes to this one.
That's okay.
It's up to us.
Dante also has a contact then. If they send
He
it.
got it in his inbox.
Well, anyone who sends it to the board office, it goes to Dante and to the staff, yeah, so they all know about it. It's just that what they gave us was like, this is the results of a good presentation, not the beginning of it.
Can I
This
ask a
caused a
question
lot
though?
of chaos in my neighborhood. People are.
When something ends up on the agenda that affects the community and nobody in the community knows about it, it raises distrust or mistrust about what is the community board doing now? What are they doing now and why aren't they telling us about it?
Because
So
this could have been said,
this,
right?
I think, is something where you don't put it on the agenda unless you know that the community has had awareness and input. You just don't.
Well, the thing about that is, are we being told by the community about what they're aware of? Well, oftentimes we're not know.
You're
we don't
our
know.
community board. You should be telling us.
Well, this is where you come to learn about that stuff.
And
This is-
we
this
have,
is- yeah.
we have presidents who you have contact information for, they didn't know about it.
The
We
chairman
have
of
members
the
of the
board lives on
community
the
who
block
have
and he
email
didn't know
addresses
about
with you, they don't know about it. You have my email, I didn't hear anything about this.
Right? Well, I mean, this is where that starts. When DOT comes to present, they come here first. So I expect people to be here to learn about it.
Is this
But
DOT?
Ethan, you just
Might
said
I,
that.
just one
you
second,
can- you
just
can
one
ma-
second, one
sorry,
second. Might
Donna.
I say to add on to Paco's, that while that we're rejecting this, that we're not even considering any documentation that doesn't have from
Oh, yeah.
something on it that says
Yeah.
who this is,
No,
because
yeah.
we're all speculating and this, that, and the other, and who, what. We're not accepting any unformal request for anything, so don't even send it to us. And Dante, don't even give it to us, and I'm on record. Don't even give it to us unless it is from a particular party, so that now we can make a realistic,
Have a conversation.
conversation. I'm
That's fair.
sorry.
Okay, my concern is that, as you stated earlier, that the committee can approve of a letter, the executive board could send it, and if we're not paying attention all the time, we wouldn't even know this was
Wouldn't even know.
happening. We wouldn't know it could go through, get approved by the executive board, the board sent out, it concerns my neighborhood. If somebody hadn't let somebody else in my neighborhood know, we wouldn't know about this, and I wouldn't be here. Lynn wouldn't be here, Nicole wouldn't be here, our whole neighborhood wouldn't be, what is going on? Nobody asked us about it, including Fred. So this is dangerous, and I'm
Correct.
suspicious, and I think everybody's suspicious now. So it creates a precedent that's not, it's not okay
not a
with
good
me
one.
or anybody in my community.
That's why I made
I
that
don't think any
stipulation.
block,
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
why
think
I
any
made that
block would be
stipulation.
okay with this without, you have to get signatures for a block party from, I think it's 60% of the residents before you block off a street. You know, we have to do that every time. And for
And
that,
we do
in our
it.
spring fling, we do it because people wanna have it happen, you know? And this whole neighborhood is very intricately connected, so.
I had to collect so
I'm
many
just-
signatures just to plant a tree. So, how this happens,
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't understand.
It's upsetting, you know, I don't want you to all to set a precedent for this kind of thing
Correct.
in this board at all.
And we couldn't
So
even vote on
stipulate.
this because where
Yeah.
did it originate? We couldn't even have made any type of decision on something as vague as this. So again, I feel, as a committee that we've
No, we just voted on
received
it.
this particular
Not to do
documentation that was incomplete. It even shouldn't have even come to us to even look at, because it is not sufficient to even consider to send it to the block to say, hey, can y'all check this out? Because we don't know where this stuff is from.
Okay. No, I mean,
Because who's it from?
it's from Anthony Gay from EDC.
So why doesn't he sign his name and put on here?
What dates are we talking about? There's no details.
This looks like something that maybe this person intended to send out to other people in the
Yeah,
group, and then they sent the blank one
Yeah,
instead.
so
It
we
looks
shouldn't
like-
speculate any
Yeah.
further.
Right.
It's
We
not-
should, yeah, we shouldn't be doing it. Because they could have been sending this out to people in the community. Who knows?
So we're just
So-
rejecting this, but any future
Yeah, we'll reject
applications need to be complete.
Yeah, that's like, I think the bare minimum.
And
Should
then
actually
you have
be-
to make sure the community that you're doing it
Correct.
in needs to be con, because you
Correct.
created a
That's
big
also-
problem here.
We're
But to be
rejecting
honest,
the
that is
letter.
also what this is. Like,
Not
coming to
membership.
the board is a form of community contact. We send flyers out, we have flyers on the front
No,
door.
the community of
How
Street, Montgomery Street.
Right.
Does this person live on Montgomery Street? Does Anthony Gay?
No,
I have no idea.
he lives in Evansville.
Why,
That's what
why
he
did
told
he do
me.
it over there on McKeever Place? or
Exactly.
Evansville?
Yeah.
That's on
That's
He's
on
not
Montgomery
even
Street.
on the block.
No, that's not on that block.
Montgomery
That's not on
Street.
the one
That's
that's
not
So-
this
What
block
is
that's
the
being
block?
blocked off.
So I'm on the
It's across the
block.
street.
I'm on the.
It's a
I'm in the
It is a
area that's
private
affected.
residential block that you're blocking access. The block runs from Bedford to Rogers. You're cutting off their access to their block
Yep.
with the segment that they're blocking off.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead.
don't you think you need to let people on that block
All
know
of
that
our
that is being planned? There are no dates, there are no times. Like we said, to block off our block for one block party, and we all know it, we have to get signatures from the world.
Right.
We have no idea if this is for one day or for the whole summer.
So how many signatures are currently required for
60%.
Of the impacted area.
for the Open Streets program?
I have no idea. You tell me.
Maybe there is a reason why new programs like this are perhaps shedding that 60% requirement. So there's been this
Are
thing.
they?
Can I
We
make a
don't
suggestion
know.
before we go to,
We
right
should
now, I
really
think that we really don't know what this letter is, right? First of
Right.
all, right? We really don't know about the program. I just read it quickly this morning about the program, what it is, so we have to educate ourselves on that.
Mhm.
Until then, right, we can speculate all day long.
Yep.
We don't know. So I suggest that Paco, you go ahead with your motion, right?
Yep.
Table this whatsoever, move
Let's
on.
move on. I agree.
I agree.
Move on.
Common consent?
Yes.
Anybody from the community have any more concerns?
No, it's canceled, that's it. This is
Well,
done, it's
we've
done,
heard-
it's done, it's done, it's done.
Will anything like this happen again? Are you gonna look at the overall process for next time?
We have to look at the
Well,
process,
that's it, they have to
because from the person that I spoke to when I had street labs on my block, last year they were talking about open streets, and the way it seemed like it was explained to me, she wanted to know if there were people in the community that wanted it on their block, they should be contacting city labs if they want it in their community. Cause she asked me, do I want it on my block? I was like, no, we don't want it, because I know what's going on, like, but I would want the opportunity to have, like on a single occasion for our block party, because they have some really great interactive
Yeah,
things
you guys had a
for,
great.
for the
I
students.
saw
They
that.
have some
I saw
really
their
nice,
website.
nice things, nice stuff.
But people should have the opportunity to speak.
To
on
comment
it
on it.
and plan and have it when they.
Yeah, but again, we don't know about the program. I just find a conversation here. No one knows about the program.
Right.
This here is, so right now it's a new issue, just going round and round.
We'll table it if anything, or reserve it until next month, we'll reassess, and also make sure that they know to actually make an application next time instead of saying a letter of support, for us to just fill the blank in. Because I don't intend for us to be a rubber stamp.
Okay, so now we're on Rogers Avenue.
Well, it's really Empire Markers, but yeah.
Well, we have Rogers Ave.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is what I raised.
That was the Bucko.
Wait, is there still, what about new business? I wanna talk about.
Yeah, we have,
So what was
we
the
have,
action here?
we have one thing in new business right now.
That's
Okay.
it, but I have new business.
Yeah, and I mean,
That's old business.
no, yeah.
Is
we're
it on
gonna-
the agenda?
We need to cover this
Well,
first and then.
There's
go
a new
into
business section for it, so it's gonna
Okay,
come up,
right.
but we're gonna tackle what's in new business right now, and then we're gonna go to that.
This letter is the new business, right, or is it a different one?
No, which
The
one?
letter is in the agenda.
It's in the
It's on
agenda.
Open Street.
Yeah, that was what we just talked about and rejected, so that's gonna
So
be.
this
in
was
there.
new business that's done.
Right.
Yeah, that was agenda business.
So
We have
It's
one
agenda
more
number
item, we have
7.
one more we have one item in new business right now.
This should have been B instead of 8. I think that's the
Rogers
confusion, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Oh, I see.
New business should have been.
Or that whole section.
Yeah,
Right,
that should have
yeah,
been
yeah.
moved down a bit more.
Marathon.
The half marathon is also new business.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just for the sake of ordering it, but yeah.
And I wanna talk about the cars.
I know. Yeah, I even told Diana about it during the presentation. I'm trying to get them and Zipcar involved so we can all solve that problem. but I wrote it down.
I sent you pictures today and Fred.
Alright,
Alright, so-
alright.
You saw them, right?
Okay, so moving on.
Yeah, no, I don't think to know that like I'm in progress with like.
I really want a
addressing-
resolution or a letter, because it seems like people are getting that pretty easily, and we've been working on this problem for almost more than a year, you know? So,
Yeah.
what can we do about it?
We'll get a
I don't want this
resolution.
back route thing
Huh?
anymore. I don't want the back road.
I understand.
We're working behind the scenes.
I
Nothing
understand.
is happening, and it's such a bad problem.
I understand, but I also want to say resolutions. We'll get one today.
Okay,
I
thank you.
plan to. But what I also want to say is resolutions themselves don't solve things. So I'm preparing the supplementation of that with like the actual movements. You know, I'm trying to
And
get it on the radar.
I'm on board to do whatever, you know,
Okay.
make calls, write letters.
So we're
Alright.
still in new business?
Yeah, Empire and Rogers, Paco, that's you. If you want to talk about it real quickly. Yeah, we'll take care of that too. That's what I'm bringing about new business.
I want to make sure this isn't,
This wasn't new
Hmm?
business?
I want to make sure it's in the minutes about this resolution.
It will be.
Okay.
Yeah, talk about
This,
it.
this wasn't new business?
Wait, which thing are you talking about that you want to bring?
I am talking
She's
about
bringing up something that's not in
Sullivan
the agenda,
Place
so it's gonna be
and
happening
Ludlam
So you're not-
Place. There has been a big problem with the rideshare zip cars.
Okay, we just have
It's
to
because
discuss
Right?
that.
after I sent
Okay.
the
That's gonna be the
I
next
hope
thing.
I
so.
added a couple, I told them to
I've
add a
been-
couple things,
Oh, I see.
and they added it to the
Working
new
on this
business
for
instead
so
of
long.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd have to add
No.
it myself, but I did.
Okay.
Okay, so
So,
Empire and Rogers, right?
Empire and Rogers, I just noticed, Empire was just repaved from Nostrand to Ocean. There's no markings there yet, but
It's been horrible.
you can really see just how wide the street is, and it needs crosswalks, all that sort of stuff. But as I was going there, I live just off Rogers, so I'm crossing here a lot, and I noticed Empire and Rogers, you can see right here, this is the crosswalk. It's the only intersection from, I guess, from there to where Empire stops at Utica that doesn't have a pedestrian island in the middle. And I know they added those pedestrian islands in 2009 or 10?
2010.
2010.
I think it's wide
Um,
enough.
2010.
And I saw that old presentation. I don't know why it was omitted here, but the space already exists. Like, this is not a turning bay, this is nothing, it's just the zebra stripes here. Having a pedestrian island just gives a little bit of space if you can't, I have two little kids, sometimes they can't cross the street, you know, or someone's, whatever the
With
reason is,
bollards,
a little bit of safety there.
bollards, and some trees.
Do they have it in Bedford?
I think, I
Bedford?
don't know,
They
you
have
get
it
a
in
lot of
Nostrand,
trucks
not
that
Bedford, They
turn.
have it in
Bedford has turning
Nostrand.
lanes.
You have a lot of trucks that turn there,
They can't turn, it's
They-
not permitted.
onto
What
Empire?
do you mean, from where?
From Rogers onto Empire?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
Yeah, they can, but they use the lane. They don't
Right.
go into, like, it's two streets.
Yeah, no one uses the yellow stripes is essentially,
It's
here, this
already-
I
is
know, but
Nostrand.
sometimes you have to have a
Are
little
you-
swing space.
For like a wide 53-foot long truck or something for their turning radius.
Uh-huh.
And they can't, you don't, I think that there's plenty of room on Empire because it is so wide and you can't park on the crosswalk. And there's the bus lane there, so you're going from either the center lane or the left lane.
There's one
Going
on
around.
Empire in
And
Nostrand.
Nostrand, yeah.
It's-
So there's a turning lane on Bedford Avenue, from
Right.
Empire to Bedford.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
I'm saying on
there's
the,
no turning lane on Rogers Avenue to go on Empire to go to Rogers.
Because it's one, Rogers
because
is
it's one way, you can't do that.
One way.
No.
So if I'm going if I'm going east, I have to,
On
I can
Empire
turn
Boulevard,
on
you can
Empire
turn
Boulevard.
on the right.
Left, you
I
can
can
go.
turn
it's,
left. Is there
it's
another
up
turning
there.
lane in the middle?
Well, I'm gonna say, I mean,
There
it's
is.
just paved, who knows what they're gonna do, how they're gonna do
Well,
restrict, whatever.
I think they're gonna put exactly what was there.
What,
Yeah.
so they're not
Because
gonna, what
there's been
about
no
the bu-
presentation, so they're gonna restore it to exactly as it is, whereas it was, you know, a couple months ago.
This board asked for stuff on the far western side of Empire and JT never got back to us
Yeah.
about that.
Is there a drawing that's out there?
No, there's nothing
We
out
can
there.
produce a drawing as part of this resolution.
No, for the whole Empire Boulevard,
There's-
where they're drawings,
2010.
or,
There's
you
no
know,
new-
typical drawings for every
There-
intersection?
There are no new drawings, so they're just going to restore to existing conditions as of a couple of weeks.
I would double check with them on the why,
This is what you'll want.
Well,
because
yes.
they put in a pedestrian on the corner of Flatbush and Empire years ago, and it created a traffic nightmare.
they had to go and dig it all back up.
Flatbush and Empire?
Remember?
there is
By the
one.
park?
I do remember that one.
By the park, they
Yeah.
extended it or they did, it
Oh,
was
that's
a
right,
nightmare.
that's right.
Traffic was backed up all
They
the
redid it
way
like
to
3
Nostrand
times. They
Avenue.
did it
Yeah,
3
but that's,
times.
those are all turning lanes.
I'm just saying that,
They took away a position for a vehicle to turn when they did that, and they extended the curb south of the botanical garden, so they restricted the roadway and they added that as a new measure.
this is before, they tore down what they did
No, I
and they
know
rebuilt
what
it.
you're saying.
Yeah, they redid
They
it quite
redid
a
it.
few times. This is pretty
Yeah.
old.
Years ago.
But yeah, I am curious.
And I still
So
don't
I'm
like
just
it.
wondering,
I am
I'm
curious, is
thinking
there a
that there must
reason
be a
why?
reason why.
Well,
you should
sometimes
check
there's a
with
good
the
reason,
DOT.
sometimes they're
I
just
would say check
inefficient and.
Could it just see, like, why would they do it? If they did Nostrand and they did
So-
Flatbush, why did they skip?
So, well, they
Right.
didn't do Flatbush as part of the Empire project before. The Empire project before was from Rogers, or was from Bedford east to
Like Remsen,
to,
all the
to
way.
Remsen. Yeah, my suspicion, pure speculation is, I mean, this was 15 years ago. There was probably a lower pedestrian volume over here, so maybe there weren't enough people crossing that they thought it was warranted. Right? It's just the the storage boxes and I don't know.
No, you actually had more commercial on that block back then.
Was that before the SB?
They had the gas station over there.
There's a gas station, yeah, it was much busier back then than it is
Yes,
now.
gas station's still
No,
red. It's
There's still,
Oh, Rogers?
there's still a gas station about
yeah, there's a gas station on.
You're talking about
On
Yeah,
Rogers
yeah.
Empire, but not further down, there was a different.
Yeah. It'd be,
So I
yeah,
think
But
that
that
you
doesn't
said
affect the
put a
traffic
resolution, you said put a resolution in to get
I
the
think-
DOT to find out.
If
Yeah,
DOT
I-
has an engineering
And
reason
if
why they
there's-
can't.
and if there's a drawing
That's how
that's
it's
out there for that
Because
particular.
sometimes
What
I
about
think,
the
that makes
bike
sense.
lane? What about
Yeah,
the
don't
bike
do
lane?
the resolution now.
The bike
I think
lane?
the block is
Now
a
that
little
they
too
merged
narrow
everything
there.
up.
They're
They're
gonna,
gonna put the
they're gonna
bus
paint
back
it
in.
back in.
Rogers is a little
They're not gonna
narrow.
put it
I think there's a reason
And
why.
just with this particular, when they tore up the street, repaved it, this thing has been very, very difficult. They haven't, the neighborhood wasn't really informed. I live right there, I walk my dog, I'm out there like every single day, several times. And it was so, we weren't really informed about it, and I think it created a hazard because when I came home late one night when they were doing it, and I saw a lot of other people with kids that couldn't get across the street. Like I had to walk way down from when I got off the train station. I had to walk on the other side of Empire all the way down to Nostrand to get home. I had to walk 6 blocks out of my way because they wouldn't allow me to cross to get home. And it was pretty weird, and I have a lot of pictures of it. I'm out there taking pictures, and I went over with my dog, and they were doing it earlier in the evening, the night before last, and it was the same thing. People were trying to get across. Some people just went and tracked tar all over, and it was not well managed, and the neighborhood wasn't informed about the noise, the smell from the tar, the paint. It was, they got to do it, but it could have been better. It could have been better.
Did they put up
planned.
the no parking signs and all that stuff?
I was there, I think I saw them. They also had,
I have a lot of
Cause-
pictures. If you
Yeah, I
want
don't
to
know.
see.
Dante said it at the March full board as well.
Oh,
yeah, he
It's
did.
like-
He did say it, but I already knew at that point it was happening because people
so
didn't
you
know.
didn't know.
People didn't know, and people couldn't get home with their kids, without walking pretty far. Like it was a lot of.
So what's the ask here?
I think it should be better signage about what was happening because you really didn't know.
Okay.
There was no sign, there was some signage like you can't walk down here, but it could have been handled better, and the people there could have been better, treated people kindly, not screaming at some lady with her kid or me with my dog, just, here's how you got to get home, like, it was if I would have known that was really happening, like I couldn't cross, I would have went a different way, but I don't like to walk by. I don't like to walk down Sullivan from the train at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really get home, without going pretty far to my work, and other people were with me at the time, bicyclists, on the sidewalk. It was pretty hazardous. So I just saw a lot of people having distress, especially the people with children. So
So you said this was 1 o'clock in the morning and parents were out with the kids?
well, this no,
Is this going by
that's
what you
that
said?
was happened to me, but it was another night. It was last night. You know, we're out. People couldn't cross the street maybe at like 7, 8 o'clock. My problem was it was later.
Oh,
The people with kids was earlier.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's they start
'Cause I
right.
think I was
They
out,
start around
and I was in
dark.
my car too, and I had to go around,
Yeah.
because I was coming down Flatbush and I couldn't turn on Empire, so I had to go down to, is it Lincoln maybe? And, or maybe
Yeah,
Lefferts.
You can't turn into me.
It's someplace, I had to go out of the way, though.
Lefferts,
I had to go out of the
You
way.
get 3 blocks in.
I had to go out of the way.
Alright.
So, you know, it's a-
But I think
But
it's
it wasn't
just,
inconvenient.
Yeah.
It wasn't
It was-
But back to the item, the agenda
So
item.
I think this is a really good idea. I know that they have a different technology now than they used to. Like they have rubberized things that are easier to remove if they want to do a trial run. Like I think it makes sense. I cross
So-
this block every day.
So this is on Barton Island on like the eastern side of
Yeah.
Iron Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense because one of our representatives' staff was crossing there recently, right? And they saw someone get killed in front of their face.
It
So
was,
I thought,
yeah,
or get hit.
yeah, Assembly Member, Cunningham.
It's by Cunningham's
His
office.
office,
Yeah, like people have been getting hit there pretty
Yeah.
recently too. So I think it's needed.
Ooh, somebody got hit there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
more-
one of
more than
his
once.
staff-
Oh, there was a
that
really
told
bad
me-
accident there.
Well,
Yeah.
very recently there was a crash there.
7
and, like,
people
7
got
people injured.
right.
But it was I think last summer, one of, he doesn't work there anymore, but one of
Yeah.
Cunningham's staffers asked me if I knew anything more. But he was like, he just saw the dead body there. He was like mortified, and it was at the front door.
Is this
of
the
his
area
office.
that you were asking for, that you wanted some information on?
Is there any data out there?
So
Yeah.
what,
on
what was said to me was that you need to ask
If there was a
Dante to do a letter,
There is
do a formal letter
Yeah.
to
But it's not that
71st
accurate.
precinct, okay, because when I went there, they said they can tell me, but it wouldn't be official, okay? So officially, okay, so that's
It
noted.
would be good to have some data proving that is the
Yeah,
hazard.
but
Because I
the
think that
data's
block,
online,
for me,
updated all the time.
I think because Rogers Avenue narrows at Empire when you're coming up, so I don't know if people are jockeying for positions maybe, because Rogers Avenue is pretty wide
It is,
on
yeah.
the southern
Yeah,
side
southern.
Right.
of Empire Boulevard, but once you start getting to that northern side.
People behave
yeah.
poorly. People drive very
Right.
poorly
But
when they get up there.
That's all of the northbound avenues.
Yeah.
That's pretty,
And
it's
the
a
other
pretty
one-
fast
New York
street and
Avenue,
there has
too.
been
Yeah,
a
but
lot
they
of
all have
accidents.
traffic islands.
I don't know
Yeah,
why
this
they-
is the only one that doesn't have it.
Right.
It almost feels like someone just made a mistake.
An omission.
You know, they omitted it, but maybe there's a good reason, and like,
They-
we can
they
ask
planted
DOT,
a tree over there.
was there a reason?
I want to make sure that we actually include actions there, because I mean,
So should we ask?
ask them to put one in, and if they
I
don't,
volunteer with
ask
the
them
press.
for the
some
reason
safety
why,
investment.
like send the analysis to us as well, because I've noticed that asking for just reasons why tends to not get much done.
What about
Because we
the-
look uninformed and we
Yeah.
don't ask for much, as opposed to
That's what I'm
saying,
saying. They're not going to
this
do
area
things
needs this, ask
using
for it,
a
and
really
then say,
the perfect time
in
to strike
addition,
you by
based on your
or extend
decision, also
that
send
part
us
for
the.
But
the
it's
last
probably have to
reason,
be
you
in
know?
the
Yeah.
plan for the striping, because the striping people are separate from the paving people.
No, but the striping people come in later in the day.
Right, but the
We're about to send those orders
A
out.
line here, a line sort here.
No, I'm not saying that it doesn't make a difference, but the order probably should have already been there.
Well, we
So you want this and this, this and this and
last
this.
year,
That was over a year ago.
over a year now.
Yeah.
It was two
But they-
members before.
I mean, because they're repaving, it would have been nice if they took our motion from last year and now gave
And
it.
now, if they ever decide to do it, they have to close down the street again and cause a bunch of
Right, and they're gonna have to rip up work that they're going to do. But we also don't want them installing something that they haven't shown us a presentation
Alright,
for.
so,
Yes, so
So-
the timeline is running up.
Well, the timeline's done, it's just not,
We
they're
never showed
gonna,
any presentation for all those changes they made at Empire in the past.
they did, because I saw it online. It was in 2010, or 2009 probably was the presentation, in 2010 they
That's
installed
the
it.
earlier ones.
They were coming kind of frequently years ago.
They've been coming these days.
Okay, so,
Yeah, I mean, I'll make a motion.
Island and bike lane?
Please. So I make the motion that we send a letter to DOT asking them to evaluate that intersection for, and verify if there's a reason why this pedestrian refuge island was never installed before. If there is no valid reason, analyze it for safety measures now, which could include an island to match every other corner on the park.
So you're asking for analysis.
And if they can't do it, why not?
So is that the
Right.
resolution that you had mentioned?
That sounds like a letter he's asking.
No, so you don't
It's
need
just.
this.
Oh, no,
You
no,
don't need the analysis. I mean, the Empire was already reviewed. What you want to know is,
But it-
was this left out?
But it was reviewed in 2010.
Right, but you want to know
Like-
if it's left out, because they did several of them, and they left this one out. Why?
And there's a spot for it.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
A spot. There's like a hollowed out spot.
I mean, I prefer we actually read a resolution and ask for the island
You
to
just
be installed.
Yeah.
But if you want to do
To be
that.
installed in accordance with the 2009 plan.
Okay.
Because it
And I
was
mean,
on the plan, right?
No, it was not on the plan.
Oh, okay.
No, that intersection, of all the intersections, that one was just not.
Don't jack me up,
Well,
that's
that's
the
what we
section,
asked. Why
let's
wasn't this
understand
on the
why
plan?
they didn't do
No,
it,
that could be
because
part,
I don't
I'm
need to
saying
be in
that,
the
that
middle
could be part of it too.
Right.
Yeah,
Why-
if there's a good reason,
That's
that's all
what
we
I'm
can
saying.
do.
We are going no, because in the same breath, like we can't assume DOT is an all-knowing, godly sort of agency that knows exactly the best thing at every
Right.
intersection because they don't.
No, I know. They make a lot of mistakes.
We like
Yeah.
if the community Paco crosses this every block, like every day, thinks that there's a need for this, doesn't see any downsides.
I'm
Okay.
there
So
too,
just
I live
check.
around the corner, we all do. We
Yeah.
live around- So
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
live
saying, let's
in
understand,
Virginia.
because I've seen them screw up before and create a traffic
But that
nightmare on
was- they
Empire.
presented their screw up to you and said it was going to be fine. This is the community's input coming out, asking DOT for something,
Okay, next.
right? Downtown versus bottom up.
Yeah, no, I think you're both saying the same thing, essentially, like,
Exactly.
yes, they.
It just seems
this-
like the pedestrian lane should be like on the other side, like the turning lane so people can go
There is no
up.
turning lane on the east side.
Well, there should probably be a turning lane.
No,
But where would you turn?
Go
They can-
turn up and have the
You-
pedestrian lane on the other
It's a-
side, right?
It's a straight lane where you can turn right as well. You don't need a.
No, you
to
can
me,
only
have a
turn
right-
left, it's a one way. You can only turn
Not
left.
on the
No.
east side.
If you're going,
No,
if you're on Boulevard
you're
going
going
west,
to-
you just turn right.
Yeah.
And if you're coming going east,
There is no right turn
then
lane.
you have to turn left.
If you're going
I
on
Oh,
wonder-
I'm
north.
talking about coming down
I
Empire.
wonder
and
if
turning
it's
that way.
Yeah, but you
because
can't.
we
You
don't
can't.
have, I
You
wonder if it's
can't.
because
It's
we
a
don't have an
one-way
official
north.
biking.
Oh, you're right,
lot.
I was looking at it wrong.
Rogers, it's a merge,
Oh, yeah, you look at
and you
that.
have
you
two
gotta go to the right.
buses that run down Rogers Avenue.
Exactly where the.
Oh, I was thinking it was there.
No, I
No,
can't.
because there was a turning lane.
Although it's not on Empire.
Because
Just
that's the
don't
traffic.
want them
I'm glad you
to
said
make
that.
on
We good for that?
See, I'm on one here, too.
If you wanna make a motion for that, go for it,
Yes.
because you're asking them to change a turning bay and get rid of it.
Okay.
So-
But I really like this one that's there.
I would love to go home,
I understand why.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You tap
Thank you.
No, no, no.
I take
No,
the
of
On
time.
the, we're on the, talking about on the east side.
On the east side, there's no turning bay, no anything.
I needed to see that map.
All right, let's.
So that
Hold on,
was-
question. Do we have any
Right.
opposition to that?
I was hoping for it. Except for.
What are we saying?
All right.
We were here for all
We have
night.
any opposed to that resolution? And those wasn't asking for the installation of the island.
Whether or not it was
Why
omitted.
don't they break out
The
the
same
state
organization,
organization?
whether or not it was omitted.
I suggested that we ask for the island and Brock amended his motion because I think asking for the explanation sends all the wrong messages. It makes us look like we don't know what we're asking about because we're asking about it. And they often don't.
What do you mean, why would you look silly? You were asking because it was part of the plan, and his first thought was maybe it was omitted. So then we wanna know whether or not it was part of the plan, and if it wasn't, why wasn't it?
What happens if they don't? What happens if they don't respond in 3 months?
I'm sorry?
What happens if they don't
We
respond
should
in
get
3
it put
months?
in
Like
as
they
quick as
typically.
possible before we run
Like
out
they
of money.
typically don't respond to those. When was the last time an agency responded to a request for information from a committee on this board?
And I think
It's a
also
long,
if it
long
was
time
omitted,
ago.
they still won.
They're still trying.
Like it's the same result.
I do wanna know why, like, if they say it can't be done, I would love to know why.
Now, what I also like to do is to talk to our DOT rep Diana and have some DOT reps come in person and answer all of these questions for us, one-on-one, and maybe even send in documents if they can't answer, so we can get the answers. But sending in a letter for them to explain something from 10 years ago, I think it looks pretty amateur, and it looks like we don't know enough that we have to ask for
Maybe we
these
should have the
things.
DOT and
That's not.
I think that would be great.
I
That's
think
what I'm trying to
it would be
organize
a
in
post-mortem
person so
would
they
be
can
really
answer
fun.
what we have to ask.
DOT AMA.
Like,
Yeah.
it's been 15 years since the Empire Turn Homing was done. It's been 5 years since Eastern Parkway was done. Like, how are these things going in the middle? Like, how did it change versus what they expected versus what they got? Like, they should have more communication with us. Full stop.
I agree.
So,
We need to
And
ask
we're getting
simple,
that.
simple sentences. Like,
Yeah.
install this, please.
so I'm like, I like to go to the head. So is there a way that we could write Keith Bray and say that we got these 5 things on the list, and how can we resolve some of them? Because we keep going to this department over here and this one over here and this, and we're not getting anything. Whereas if we have a relationship with Keith Bray, who's the commissioner, and we put down these 5 things and say that we've been asking for these 5 things for 10 years and not getting any response from all of these. Did he write us back and say
I don't-
anything? Have we written to him?
Recently? The last thing we contacted Commissioner Bray about was the fire department parking.
And did they
As
get
of
did he get
last
back to
year.
did he get back to us?
Commissioner Bray came with us in person to go and check it
Okay.
out. So we're getting the responsiveness. It's just that the fire department, from what I understand, hasn't complied yet, as we expected.
So they got the 2 agencies,
So-
but now we're talking about DOT on DOT.
So communication is good, but we can do the official thing and the.
Anyone wants to say this was.
Because it's like, you know, we're
This
just going in
is from
circles
2009
here
and
with
some
all of this.
I'm
Well, it
trying,
sounds
I
like
mean,
all
we're trying to call the
ours.
I
president.
want to be on
Each
Keith
intersection.
Bray.
And then they
Dear
just stopped
sir,
at
we've
Nelson.
asked for A, B, C,
They
D,
added the train
E.
days.
How can you help us to facilitate this? Because we've been asking for this for 10 years now, and regrettably, we have not gotten any response from your 10 different
That's
departments.
Brian's
Well,
office.
we've
It aligns with your goals.
We've
to
got,
fix these things.
we've gotten even most of our
Exactly,
questions
exactly.
answered
That's the
by those
bee
departments
shelter.
though. We've had the school safety team in here before, and they've
Yeah.
answered tons of questions in person.
But what did their action did
It
they
used to be,
make?
yeah, this was
None.
relatively.
Well,
Well,
that's
that's
because
because,
we had said
that's because of what the community board did.
That's because somebody who's no longer on the
All
stage.
Alright, so let's
Those
go
are
right
not-
on.
Bronco, let's call the question.
They all have
It's got
this.
trees,
Yeah.
it's
It's got
very
a tree and
nice.
it's got some
Bronco.
balls.
Alright, let's
I
call the
like to
question.
stand
and
as
get this
a-
one out.
Oh, I thought they did call the question, but I.
You did, well, you raised the motion.
Maybe
I
they
made the motion, does
put it-
anyone second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Who seconds it?
Do
Maybe
you have
they
any
put it there
opposition to this
because of the
resolution?
transit situation, but there's a pretty big
No.
transit
You vote?
situation on the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
side.
Okay,
Let's do it.
Bronco, everyone votes for that.
On the other side of the street there. You should put that in the letter too.
Alright,
Say
great.
that again, say that
There's
again.
a
There's
major
no-
bus stop
They're both
on,
going straight though. The
on
B12.
Rogers.
Okay, now,
I wanna maybe table
They
it
both go
49.
straight.
why?
because Teresa
The
has.
They-
B44,
it's
B49.
safer. I think it's because it's transit stop.
No.
People are, people
Marathon,
are
do you
crossing.
have anything to say about the
island would
marathon?
be.
Yeah, I was gonna say wrap this up.
Okay, so we're on the marathon now.
We're in violent agreement.
We'll do the
Alright, let's do the
Yeah,
marathon.
Rogers Avenue.
Oh.
Maybe have Adam about the half marathon routes.
Oh, yes.
You know, for the last 3 years, I've been asking this board to talk to the road runners, whatever their name is, to change that marathon route to Flatbush Avenue. That marathon runs on Washington Avenue, turns on Empire, and then turns on Flatbush. Why isn't this marathon starting from Flatbush? Right over there by the entrance to Prospect Park, right over there by the aquarium. Go straight to wherever they're going and do their thing. This marathon has been a thorn in the neighborhood for the last 5 years.
3 years.
And it's about time that we stop this. There are people that have double shifts, there are people that have work nights, there are cops, there are nurses, there are all of these people
Teachers.
inconvenienced because of this marathon.
Which
Now,
marathon?
I don't want the marathon to
Yeah,
stop,
But there's 2 different half marathons.
Both of
that-
them.
but they
It's
both
the
run
one
on
and
Washington
the-
Avenue. Down on Washington
Okay.
Avenue, 6
But they're run by different groups, I think.
It doesn't matter. The board needs to contact whoever is running this thing and say, switch it over there. You have all the space in the world. You don't need to come in this neighborhood and do it. In this residential neighborhood and do it.
So what
Okay,
they
what if
do?
they say no?
Well, what do you mean, what if they say
What if
no?
they say no?
We push back.
We push back. We say no. There are people, what do we do? What do we have to do to get the residents to actually support the board, and then they will not be able to say no? What do we have to do? Do we have to pick up petitions? What do we have to do?
My question is, what's the history? Did they just start this particular half marathon 3 years ago, or were they running before? And if so, where would they start from?
So the marathon has taken place, this is 3 years ago, due to the fact that they had, some repairs on the Brooklyn Bridge, I
No,
believe it
that
is.
was this one. I
That's
ran
not when it
I
started.
ran this half marathon in like 2016 and it was the same route, so it's been almost 10
No,
years.
No.
This marathon started on
No.
Eastern Parkway. They will take Eastern Parkway down, go into Flatbush. Then all of a sudden, they change it, and now they have everybody lined up in Eastern Parkway, and they come down Washington.
Because it had
3 years ago, they've been doing that.
No, do you want me to find
I
out
lived
from
there.
2015?
I lived there. I know exactly when this started, and I've been coming to this board having this problem and talking to the general, board, and no one's done anything about it.
And what we do not like is to be caged in, not just on one layer, but there's 2 layers, okay? Then you talk about the emergency services. How can they get in with a crowd of people that's there? We talk about coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Here's the map from 2016. It starts on Washington, same as today.
But it's regardless of when it started.
It doesn't
The thing
matter
is-
when it started.
Right.
The point is, it's a very serious inconvenience for the
Yeah,
neighborhood.
totally.
And those fences they put there, she's right. What if there is an emergency? I am sick to death of seniors can't get around in those few
Right.
hours. They just can't.
For 3 days.
And for 3 days, it's just ridiculous. They will not have this problem if they just move the marathon over to Washington, to Flatbush Avenue. They have the entire Flatbush Avenue.
But didn't they used to start on Eastern Parkway, because I remember all the toilets lined up there. They would
thank you
start
for
there
saying
and they'd go around. And the reason Eastern Parkway is more ideal is because there's 2 lanes. So that they can temporarily reroute traffic when there's a big bunch of people on the other side of Eastern Parkway. And they had it up by the museum. For some reason they did, it was changed to down Washington for the marathon.
And you spoke of the potty, they have a line of pissy potties along, the Botanical Gardens.
Yeah, it used to be in front of the
Whoa.
museum. They used to be in front
Well,
of the
I think the
museum.
security has gotten a lot beefier in the last 4 or 5 years.
If I may, I don't think we know why it moved over to Washington. The thing is that there is a problem in Washington with the start of this marathon, right? Maybe it could start in Prospect Park and run up Ocean, wherever. That it is a problem. I will say that. And I know this from my guys who work, and things we have to do out there, in order to prep for it. I mean, it's a lot of work. The thing is can it go someplace else where it's not as intrusive
Correct.
to the neighborhood? Is there an option that's there? Right? And that's something we have to find out from either road runners or whomever they are to find out. I mean, it's just why can't it be done? Okay? And if not, what's the issue? That's all. We have to find out.
It has to go back to where it was. Not, I don't wanna hear about it can't be done.
That's
Okay, because the inconvenience of 6 o'clock in the morning, saying the Pledge of Allegiance at 6 o'clock in the morning, are they out of their mind?
Yeah, I heard of that.
My God,
Yeah, they do a loudspeaker right now.
my God, are you kidding me, for 3 days? I see people's cars get moved and they have a problem, where is it? I said call 311, that's all I can tell you.
Understandable. I mean, here's what Rob said. I can't help but assume there is a process with figuring out and making a marathon route official. And I assume they went through that process.
They used to come here.
So what I understand, they're gonna
No,
change
they
it
do
now. It's gonna be
When
on
you,
Coney
when
Island
you
next.
say there is a process,
No, it's running from